Welcome to Redplane Insider. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy what we've got for listen. So first of all, let me turn the sound off there. That's better. So Redplane, what do we do as a business? We are a SharePoint and Office 365 business. We do a lot of SharePoint projects, development work. We're doing a lot of work now with Power Apps and Flow as well. So if you are interested in putting out your Power Apps and Flow projects or your SharePoint projects or Office 365 projects, please do get in touch with us, and I'll be more than happy to come and talk to you. So my name is Mark Stokes. I'm the owner and founder of Redplane, and I'm here today giving you some updates on Office 365. The reason I wanted to put this together is because it's important for people to know what's happening in the world of Office 365. There's a lot of changes. Microsoft makes updates to the platform every day, to be honest, if not every week and every month. So there's a lot of changes that go on, and we don't really always know exactly what those changes are. Now, if you work in an organisation, you need to be kept up to date on what's actually changing. If you're not, then how can you support your users? If you're a consultant, then you need to be advising your customers what's coming up and what's changing on the platform, again, so they can be prepared to see what happens. The other thing as well is we also see that sometimes a system being hosted by somebody else sometimes has issues. So we'll look at what issues have been going on recently on the platform, and so we can get an overview of which of the services are more or less stable over time as we do this. I'm going to be running these every other week. So the content that we're looking at today are the things that have changed in the last 2 weeks. So we'll look at the things that have been launched in the last 2 weeks, things that are currently rolling out, and items that have gone into development. So again, you have that little further look ahead of what's going to come. Again, making you more prepared to go and support your users. This video and this session is also sponsored by my other company, Untitled Chapter. We are an intranet in a box product, and we really make your intranet life easy. We've pre-built an intranet, you can install it, you customize it, and then you can go. In future videos, I'll do a little bit more of the technology, I'll put some pictures up and some information, but since this is my first one, then I just want to make sure we get it right. So we'll progress this as time goes on. Now, the information I've got to give you, I'd be very interested in getting your feedback, so please either put feedback in the comments below, let me know if you like the format or you don't like the format, or you can get in touch with me direct. My Twitter is @MarkStokes, please follow me, or you can email me mark.stokes@redplane.co.uk, and I'm very much interested in hearing your feedback. The way I'm going to run through it today is we're going to take a look at message center items that are out there, and we're going to look at the roadmap items. Okay. In the future, we'll bring in extra news items, so things that come from blogs or tweets from the specific Microsoft accounts, and we'll bring them into it as well. Now, one thing I could do in the future is I could break the updates down into technology, so maybe Microsoft Teams technology, Exchange, SharePoint, things like that. So if that's a format you may prefer in the future, again, let me know, and I can rework the session to make sure it works best for you. Today, just to give it a go, we're going to go through the items one by one. Be a bit of a jumble on what technology they apply to, but hopefully you can take something out of it. We'll flick through quite quickly as well. In some cases, there's links on the video, so you'll be able to go through and have a look at the items, or you can go back in the video, look at what it is, and go for more detail from there. So I'm not going to go into detail of everything, just give you the awareness of what's going on. So without further ado, let's just jump in and let's take a look at what updates we currently have. If I just find my cursor here. Okay. So what we're going to do now is, first thing we're going to do is we will look at some message center items. So what's currently been shown up in Message Center? Now, the first thing you need to bear in mind is these are the messages that come up in my tenant. So other people's tenants may see other things, but it should give you a good awareness of what's actually happening. We also see down here the number of affected tenants. So in some cases, some of these issues that have been going through are quite widespread. In this particular case, it's affected 13,723,000 tenants. That's quite a lot. That's probably a big portion of the estate that Microsoft has. We can see the workload, so SharePoint Online. We can see the status of it, the severity, and the brief update. So I'll run through what we have here. We have 3 different categories on this. We have current incidents. This is current open incidents that Microsoft has in my message center. Incidents that have been closed in the past 2 weeks, and also some for awareness. I'm not going to read through the awareness ones today because there's 152 of them, and quite frankly I don't think we have the time. These ones are generally alerts that you need to be aware of, so they are going to be important for the future. Things like when Microsoft's turning off various features in the future, countdown, things like that. So there is items in here that I think will be useful. Again, if you have an opinion on it, put it in the comments, let me know, and I can tweak and update it as we go on. So first thing we'll do is we'll run through some of the current incidents that are existing in my tenant right now. So the first one we have is we are unable to import data models to SharePoint Online BCS. That's been running since the 5th, so you may be seeing some issues there. This is quite widespread, affecting 13.5 million tenants. We have a current incident where Exchange Online users may be able to view the free busy status of on-premises users. So this will be people in a hybrid environment. This is an extended recovery, so that suggests that maybe this is something we should be seeing coming back online very, very shortly. Again, 19,388,000 tenants, so this is quite a widespread issue. It starts to give you a bit of an understanding of just how many tenants Microsoft is hosting as well. I've seen some slightly higher numbers than this, so you can find that quite interesting. Users may be unable to mention other users in Microsoft Teams who recently changed their name within the organisation. So if you're seeing support issues on this at the moment for people who have recently changed their name, that's something that's currently ongoing. That's been running since yesterday at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's currently restoring service, so we hope that might come back quite soon. That's a bit less widespread, 685,000 affected tenants, still quite a big number though. We have outdated offline presence information, so service is now restored. So even though it's still marked as current, service is restored, so hopefully we would see an update in Message Center or in my list today saying that that's no longer a current issue, but it would be enclosed, but that should be now fixed. So we may have had reports over the last day of users' presence information being incorrect. And lastly, access to Exchange Online is admittedly given a problem. So if you are experiencing issues from users on your support desk, then it is a known problem. So go ahead and check your message center because it may not be something you can do anything with. So what's been closed in the last 2 weeks? So Office Online, users may have been unable to access the Office Online applications. That lasted for about 12 hours overnight on the 27th of June. Model refresh not working, so there's some issues with, I've seen this a couple of times over the past couple of months, but there might be some issues refreshing Power BI models. There was a period of about a day when admins may have been unable to access invoices in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. There's been some issues with the auto attendant in Microsoft Teams answering calls. That's now resolved. That lasted for a couple of days. There was an issue as well for about a day or half a day with users unable to upload documents to SharePoint Online. Now what I find interesting is sometimes when these messages show up in my message center, they don't always show themselves to be the fact, even though I'm in the affected tenants. So again, like I say, it's something to be aware of that users may have been unable to. Some users may carry on working even with this outstanding, and some users might have the issue. This one has been resolved, and you can see the status. There is a post-incident report published. So if you go into your own message center, if you're one of these 13.5 million tenants, you should be able to find this item, and there will be a link in there where you can go and see the post-incident report, and that gives more information about what happened, why it happened, and how Microsoft mitigates this from happening again in the future. There was an issue with users unable to join meetings in Microsoft Teams. Now that was a false positive. So sometimes we see incidents come in the message center, and sometimes they're not actually incidents, even though they've been reported as. So Microsoft starts to investigate them, and then they realise actually there's not a service incident there. So sometimes it comes back as a false positive. There's some issues. Some users unable to access Microsoft 365 services or features. That's to do with the Office 365 portal, fairly generic. We can see this one affects 22,420,000 tenants. That's the highest count I think I've seen in these. So this one actually wasn't an incident, but users unable to receive email via Exchange Online. Workflows can't send emails, so in some SharePoint workflows, emails were unable to be sent. That lasted for about half a day again. Exchange can't see free busy status. I think we've seen that, so I think that's a duplicate report. There was also an issue where users couldn't send or receive mail via the Outlook mobile app. That doesn't say which platform, so possibly all platforms. Duplicate quarantine notification issue, so sometimes users were receiving more than one quarantine email. Users may have been unable to access their Exchange Online mailboxes via multiple protocols, so that's service restored. And there's some issues with PSTN calling and meeting issues. This could well be related on Skype for Business. This could well be related to some of the Teams one that we saw before. Feels familiar. Problems performing various actions across Microsoft Teams. Again, not too much detail on what functions it relates to, but I guess it's just a generic Teams issue there. That service restored again. PSTN calling and meeting issue, we've seen this already, so I think there's a couple of copies of the same issue or multiple instances maybe of the same problem. Again, duplicate spam quarantine email, so either as a second instance of the same issue or a duplicate message. Issues accessing published calendars. That was on the 18th to the 12th, so that lasted for a few days, so you may have had some support calls on that. Some outdated offline presence information, we've covered that one as well. Some issues, access to Exchange, we've had that one already as well, so a couple of duplicates there. Awareness, I'm not going to go through these, just have a quick look of what these might be, and we'll come back to these. I'll find a way to actually restrict these down a little bit in the future. So they're the message center issues that have been coming up over the last 2 weeks. So what we're going to do now is we'll go back and we'll take a quick look at some of the roadmap items. Now, all this content can actually be found on the Microsoft websites, but one of the reasons I like to bring it in here is because you're too busy to go and look at the roadmap and filter it out for what you're interested in. You're too busy to go and read all the blogs, so that's why I'm presenting that information to you. Try and group it a little bit more intelligently so it makes more sense. So again, like I say, please do leave me comments and let me know if it works. So what we'll do is we'll jump back into the roadmap, and let's see what we've got. So there was no cancelled items over the last 2 weeks, that's quite nice. But we've had 12 features launched in the last 2 weeks, 23 are currently rolling out, and 23 have entered and in development phase. So let's have a look at what these mean. So launch means they should be visible in your tenant now. Okay, and we've got 12 of these. So SharePoint hubs limit has been raised to 2,000. So previously you could have 100 hub sites in your SharePoint environment. Now you can have 2,000. So that's quite a step up, and that's really good. One of the issues I've had with SharePoint Modern is being able to aggregate all the content together meaningfully in a way if you have quite a large real estate. This should most certainly help with that. M365 supervision now includes Skype for Business, online chat and email domain exclusions. Previously this only covered email and Teams, but now Skype for Business has been added into that. So if you are using that feature, that's good news for you. Admin tool, team site auto mount. So admins are going to be able to specify team site libraries that they want their users to sync from an admin function. So that could be really useful. View labeling and protected PDF documents in Adobe Acrobat Reader on the Mac. I am a Mac user, so that's something I'm very much going to be happy to see. Microsoft Intune security baselines for Windows 10. So administrators can now leverage machine learning in the Microsoft Cloud to set security policies. So whether you are happy to release your security policies to machine learning, I'll be interested to hear if that's something you're using or looking at using. Another thing to bear in mind, if anybody wants a deep dive on any of these topics, then again, please leave me a comment or get in touch with me direct, and I'll either do a deep dive on some of these or find an expert who can do a deep dive on some of these. I'm not an Intune guy, but I certainly know enough. So if you do want more information on this stuff, then I can organise that. So yeah, anything you want deep dives on, more information on, let me know and I'll see what I can do to facilitate that. So we now get files restored for SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. So we've had this in OneDrive for a bit. Microsoft's been promoting it if you accidentally delete all of your OneDrive files, or if you are subjected to a ransomware attack, then Microsoft will give you the ability to restore your files from a previous point in time, going back 30 days. That's now been extended over to SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams because it's based on SharePoint, I guess. So that's something that's going to be really useful and hopefully get people out of a lot of trouble if they are subject to ransomware attacks. Question and answer. So Yammer's getting some new features. Question and answer options here. Microsoft Teams managed discovery of private teams. This is something I think is going to be quite useful. So we use Teams extensively through our business, and you can end up with a lot of teams. Some of those teams that are marked as private can be quite hard for people to find. Maybe you have a private team, but you want people to be able to discover it and request access to that team. So now they're going to be able to do that. The team admin is going to be able to set whether that team should be discoverable or not. So you can still have truly private teams that people don't see, but you're going to have the options. So that should make it a lot easier for not having every team in the business open, but making sure that people can access the teams they want to see. Information barriers. This one's interesting. I wasn't actually aware of this feature until I read it in here, but that Microsoft's getting the ability to limit which individuals can communicate and collaborate with each other in Microsoft Teams. So if we have different groups of users, maybe internal users, external users, or frontline workers and knowledge workers, then we can actually set some information barriers between those groups of users to make sure we don't accidentally leak important information to groups of people that shouldn't see them. Microsoft Teams, we're going to be able to add up to 100 people to a group chat, so that's going to be quite useful. Microsoft Teams is getting announcements as well. I quite like this. Again, we use Teams extensively. Conversations are great, but sometimes you do want to post an announcement into a channel. Just makes it a little bit more prevalent. So this is something you should see in your Teams available now. Video interactivity with quizzes, polling and more. This I think is pretty cool. So in your stream videos, you're going to be able to put a quiz or a poll on the end of the stream video to get user feedback, also integrating Microsoft Forms. Again, making Microsoft Stream more of your internal YouTube for the business. I think that's going to be quite powerful. Okay, so there are the items that have launched in the last 2 weeks. So let's look at what's currently rolling out. So some of you may see these in your tenant, some of you may not. If you're running preview cadence, then you might be seeing some of these already. But Outlook for Android is getting calendar category colors. Outlook for Android is getting suggested replies. So we see these kind of things on Skype and Messenger and things where it's suggesting replies for you. So Outlook for Android is getting that. I'll be very interested to see how that applies to email messages. I can't say I'm convinced. I'll be quite interested to see that working. B2B sync, so companies will be able to synchronize OneDrive folders and share items with people that they have integrated in their B2B configuration, and also cross-tenant sync will support this as well. Outlook for Android is getting the ability to sync local calendar with Outlook. Outlook for iOS is getting the ability for shared mailboxes, so if you are a member of shared mailbox, then you should start seeing them in Outlook for iPhone and iPad. Outlook for Android supports shared mailboxes, same feature across 2 platforms. Password protected links. I like the idea of this one for OneDrive for Business. In a minute we have the ability to share links with anonymous users, with users in your tenant, and also with anonymous users. But this will give you the ability to create a custom password on a shareable link, so you can then send that out to the people who want to see it, and they'll be able to access it with that custom password. Obviously, it is up to you to make sure you use as strong a password as you need to secure that content, but I think that will be really quite useful. Outlook for Mac, that's getting OneNote integration. That's nice. Signals, so Microsoft's putting into SharePoint some more visual cues on the status of a file. So we'll see more information on whether it's This isn't the modern experience, by the way, so some of the stuff maybe we've had previously in Classic is now coming to the modern experience. So check out status, where there's any DLP, data loss prevention blocks on it, or if there's any missing metadata that needs to be filled in. Outlook for iOS is getting a new files experience for sending attachments and accessing files. That'd be nice. I can find that a bit frustrating, so I'm looking forward to that one. And SharePoint sites are just in the footer of the site. At the moment, Microsoft modern sites are not awfully configurable and brandable, so it'd be quite interesting to see what they do here. There's a little bit more that you can do. So we'll be able to set a common footer across all of your SharePoint sites. So if you want to display disclaimers or links to key areas, we'll be able to do that in the shared footer. So I look forward to seeing that one coming through. OneDrive and SharePoint integration with Azure AD B2B. So again, if you are a user of Azure AD B2B, then we're going to see some more functionality coming that way, in this case particularly external sharing. Activity highlights in the file hover card. So in SharePoint, when we hover over a file and we see the details card, then we're going to see some more relevant activities to it. It says here if someone you work with edit, comments or app mentions you, then you'll see that activity in the hover card. So that should be quite nice, bringing more information to the front based on the content that you're looking at. And personal and relevant as well, by the sounds of it. Bulk approvals. Why we haven't had this 10 years ago, I have no idea. This boggles my mind that we're just getting this now, but in both the modern and the classic user experience, we'll be able to select multiple files in a document library and approve or reject them at the same time. Why couldn't we do that 10 years ago? But give it a couple of months and we'll be able to. New Outlook on the web, S-MIME availability. Upload and record videos with the Stream mobile app. Again, Stream's getting some love right now, so this will be really useful. The ability to just record straight on your mobile and publish direct into Stream will be really useful. New vertical sections in SharePoint, so new modern pages can have vertical sections. Great. Embed Microsoft Stream videos in PowerPoint. I didn't realise you couldn't do that already, but we'll be able to embed Stream videos in PowerPoint presentations. I assume if you share that PowerPoint presentation, you need to ensure that people have access rights to the video before they see it. There is the ability for self-service Office 365 video migration, so tenant admin administered migration tool for Office 365 video to Microsoft Stream migration. Page, edit, undo, redo. So now you have the option to undo changes while you're authoring your pages in SharePoint. So SharePoint Modern is getting a lot of love. We know this. There's a lot of work going on, so we keep seeing tons and tons of updates. So this is why it's really important for you to know what's going on, so you can share that out with your users and support them when they come and question how to use this functionality. So if you don't know how to do this, go and learn. There's a link down there. SharePoint pages, on-page anchors, so now you can link to headers within the content of a single page. Typical functionality we would expect to do in normal modern internet pages. Dynamic data updates for embed and list property web parts, so users can now more easily connect the embed and list property web parts with a list to create dynamic solutions. This is great, and it's been really useful. So if you want to do set properties from other lists on your SharePoint site directly in modern web part properties, I think that would be really, really useful and really powerful. I remember building WSPs a long time ago that actually to do that, and there's quite a lot of effort involved from a dev perspective, so this is going to be really, really useful. Access a Power Apps custom form in SharePoint without a license. Now this is going to be interesting and fun, so I'm keen to see what this one brings out. So yeah, we'll keep our eye closely on this one, and we may well get some deep dives on this as it goes on. Okay, so we'll move on to the in development one. So these are the items that are coming a little bit further down the line. Microsoft's currently working on these, so we don't know when we're going to see these come in, but it's just for your general awareness of what we are going to see coming in the future, so you can start preparing yourself. So Microsoft's working on improving the performance for the Office.com users by removing a portal.office.com redirect. Synchronous URL detonation in the Office 365 ATP. New Outlook on the web, S9 availability, so we've already seen some of that rolling out. I think that one's actually just moved to rolling out previously. Microsoft Intune management of user-installed apps on iOS. So Intune admins are getting more control over the iPhone and iPad applications you have in your environment. Microsoft Intune support for managed home screen app on kiosks. I'll leave these up, you can go into more details on these, there's a few so we'll get through them. Microsoft Intune enhanced end user experience for iOS. We can see where a lot of the work and effort's going at the moment. Microsoft Intune Day Zero support for iOS 13. So Microsoft Intune will support iOS 13 release to ensure that Intune app protection policies and mobile device management scenarios work seamlessly with Apple updates. Microsoft Intune company portal website supports the SaaS app lifecycle. Microsoft Intune mobile threat defense for applications without enrollment. That one should be interesting for users. We'll go through more details of these as they kind of get closer to their rolling out phase, but you can be aware of them. So improvements to Threat Explorer for better hunting experience. So this isn't the area I work in, but if you are involved in these, this is something I think will be useful. Microsoft Intune integration with apps volume purchasing program for macOS. Ability to create custom fish alerts for customers with Office 365 ATP1. Meeting recording in Government Community Cloud. So the feature enables US government Community Cloud users to record GCC meetings and save in Microsoft Stream. We have live events admin usage report. So the live events usage report in Microsoft Teams Admin Center shows admins the activity overview for live events held in their organisation. I'm liking the live events in Teams. It's a great bit of functionality, so it's good to see more work going on around the admin side of it. In Microsoft Teams, we can do live captions and translation and transcription in live events. That's pretty cool. We've been seeing lots of AI and machine learning demos of automatic translation in Skype. So that's now coming to Teams live events. Microsoft Teams auto updates will lower network bandwidth. I don't think anyone really regards Teams as the streamlined application would like it to be. So anything Microsoft can do on that would be nice. Improve user experience for the admin message center. Okay, so there's a lot of modernisation going on at the moment across the admin centres. So we're getting some love there against the message center. Or you could just come and watch my video. Live captions in team meetings, so we've seen that around live events just before, but they're obviously building the same thing into Teams meetings. Microsoft Teams give feedback. In fact, actually I just noticed I've got a problem with my Power App. There's actually 31 items, not 23, so I need to update a little property up here. So Microsoft Teams give feedback. Do you have suggestions on how to make Teams better? Users will now be able to share feedback directly with Microsoft from the Teams app. So you might want to be aware here that if users start clicking give feedback in Microsoft Teams, do they think they're giving feedback to you as their IT department, or do they realise they're giving feedback directly to Microsoft? So you might want to think about what that means for your users and just prepare them for this feature so they understand who it is they're talking to. In my experience, if you ask people for feedback, you never get it. Microsoft Defender ATP for GCC high customers. Okay, government stuff. Outlook for iOS, discover Office files, so this gives the ability in Outlook to discover more files in your Office 365 environment. Outlook on the web, new experience, global availability, so yeah, this mentioned, so get someone's attention in a channel conversation or a group with @less mentions. I think most people are just getting used to @ mentions, so what's an @less mention? Simply start typing a person's name, starting with a capital letter, and select the right contact from the list of suggestions. So Microsoft Teams, channel cross-posting, so if we want to share an update across multiple channels, we'll be able to do that in the future. I think this is going to be useful. I wonder if this is aligned to the channel permissions work that's going on as well. Microsoft Intune certificate delivery for SMIME encryption in Outlook for iOS. We're working on Microsoft Intune support for derived credentials on Android. Outlook on the web, filters in room booking. So if you're doing room bookings in Outlook on the web, we'll get additional filters there. Those filters will be set up by the organisation's admin. Outlook for Android, so report spam and phishing messages. So directly within Outlook for Android, you'll be able to report an item as spam or phishing, and then the administrators will be able to take some action on that. Edit videos in Microsoft Stream, so we'll get some beginning and ending editing, so you can trim the start and end. So again, tied into some of the live stream capabilities coming into the mobile app. It'd be nice to just trim the beginning and end of it to tidy it up a little bit. It'll be interesting how much work Microsoft puts into video editing going forward. Microsoft Stream videos is getting a recycle bin. Recycle bins are always good. I'm not always accidentally deleting things. The last item that's moved into development is to replace video and retain existing URLs. This is something that we can't do in YouTube. I guess that's important because in an environment like that, if people have commented on the video and you replace the video, you can change the context of what the comments relate to. But in this case, Microsoft is going to start allowing you to replace an existing video without changing the URL. So again, if you are working with Microsoft Stream, you just might want to bear in mind what that means for the business and for the users. So that is all of the updates we have over the last 2 weeks. So it's quite a bit there. It's not a huge amount for you to consume. I think bi-weekly is going to be a good time period for me to actually run these events. So I would really like to hear feedback on today, whether you think it's useful or not, whether it can be restructured, whether you want it to be broken down by the application level, so Microsoft Teams together and Stream together and Exchange together, or if you like me just running through, please do let me know in the comments below, and I can just tweak these accordingly over time to make sure we deliver exactly what you want. So it's a fairly short one today, half an hour. That's quite nice. So I would like to say a very big thank you. If you are interested in us picking up any power ups or flow work, please do get in touch and let me know. It's something we're getting very good at now. I also have a few changes coming to the website over the next couple of weeks, and we'll have a few pre-built power ups and flows that we can actually start selling to you direct. So do check out the website for that going forward, and I hope to be able to showcase some of those with you in the future. But as for now, thank you very much for joining me and watching this video. I hope that's useful. I hope you learned something, and I hope you're a bit more empowered now to go and take those updates back to your users, or at least investigate the ones that are more applicable to you. So thank you very much. I've been Mark Stokes, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time.